So here we're going to be talking about time management. This is absolutely crucial. It's got a lot to do with prospecting, but I wanted to make this a separate module because there's a bit to unpack here, and you may also want to revisit this module, maybe even revisit it often. So, time management. You need to start your business today. No more, I'll start on Monday. I used to be that guy. Every diet I was going to start, every workout plan, when I was starting my business, oh yeah, but I'll start on Monday. I'll start on Monday. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to get started, okay? Time is your most valuable resource. These are non-refundable minutes. You will never, ever get this time back. You can't buy it back. Some of you, if you're a little bit younger, it takes a while for that to set in for the average person, but it's the absolute truth, right? Everyone's got 24 hours in a day. You remember, you can always accumulate more money. You cannot buy a minute of more time. Now, here's the thing. I want you to spend money in your business. Now, some of my most popular YouTube videos, probably a lot of the ways that many of you guys found my content is centered around the idea that you can start this business without spending any money. And you can, and that isn't a great thing about this business, because unlike anything else, you want to start a restaurant, or if it's a franchise, you need like $1 million, right? But if you want to start a restaurant, you have to find a place. You either got to buy it or you have to lease it. Then you have to pay for insurance. Then you have to pay for tables and chairs and staff and food and refrigerators and stoves and, you know, silverware and plates and dishwashers. And then you got to pay your staff. Like, it's crazy. There's a lot of startup costs. And that's why this business is awesome, because you really can start it with no money. But the idea is, like, you can do deals with no money, but you don't want to run a business with no money, because in the beginning, those no money down deals are going to take you some time, right? And so you're going to have to spend that time in the beginning. And even if you do have money, like, you're still going to have to spend time because you're just learning this stuff. But eventually, you want to spend money in your business so you can buy your time back. And when I say buy your time, I mean when you start, automating, outsourcing, using different forms of marketing, hiring employees, hiring VAs, well, then that's spending money, but you're getting your time back. Now, you don't have to do all that shit, right? So, I want you to spend money, and you should, instead of always looking for the cheapest way to do everything, you should want to spend money in your business. You should be happy to spend money in your business, because it means that if you're doing it properly, you're going to do more business, make more money, grow bigger, grow faster, and get your time back. So stop thinking about, like, if temporarily, I know, just being realistic, there are times where you'll have to be, I remember, like, how do I do this as cheap as possible? But, like, at least start asking yourself the question, how, just like our affirmations method, how can I spend more money in your business? And then you don't have to necessarily, like, answer it on paper, but your brain will start churning that way. Well, if I can do more deals, I can spend more money. If I do this and that, and it'll make solutions to that, okay? Again, the key is to buy time. In 90% of cases, you will not start this way, but in the beginning, you want to put in as much time as possible. Like I said, nobody wants to get into a business to do it 100 hours a week, and I don't want that for you either, but be willing to pay the price in the beginning, temporarily, and you'll be free later. Work your ass off for a couple of months, and then you could live the next many years of your life, or the rest of your life, much differently. All right? People think the key to wholesaling success is related to things like lead sources, lists, software, techniques, etc. While important, these things are secondary. Time management, routines, habits, consistency, those really are, and follow up, the primary keys to becoming a successful wholesaler, hands down, especially when you're just getting started. So you need to put yourself in front of prospective sellers routinely. Traditional marketing tells us that a prospect, this is any type of direct-to-consumer marketing, whether it's even sending coupons in the mail, that a prospect needs to see you a minimum of 7 times before they not only do business with you, but even acknowledge your existence, right? And imagine as life gets more distracting with social media and stuff like that, it's probably that number is probably going to go up. With all distractions, this is going to be the minimum. Like, think about it, right? If somebody's even kind of somewhat motivated, like, what are the chances that you're going to get in front of them at the perfect time, when they're ready to go, ready to sign? If you engage them just once, you really want to hedge your bets and increase your chances, and that comes through volume, right? Doing that more. Now, many new wholesalers lack patience when it comes to prospecting, and therefore they are constantly experimenting and trying new things. This is a huge case of failure. Instead, once you select your primary list, build it up, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. In your acquisition strategy, which we'll discuss in future modules, you need to focus on continuity rather than stopping and starting. So this is what happens with most wholesalers, right? Especially when they first get started. It's the same thing. You guys know I like my analogies. When someone starts a new diet or a new workout program, yes, there are people who are successful, but what most people probably do, at least their first go at it, they start lifting weights, and they lift for 1 week. They lift, let's say, really heavy weights, really low reps. And then 1 week goes by, it's amateur do especially, right? And then they say, oh man, I'm not seeing the results. All right, maybe I'm going to try this next thing. I'm going to try lighter weights, so I'm going to do 10 to 15 reps. And then 1 week goes by, and oh man, that didn't work. I'm going to try this HIIT cardio system. Oh, that didn't work. I'm going to try this workout I saw on bodybuilding.com. All right, and then I'm going to try 5x5. Now I'm going to try German volume training. Like all these different things, right? But you don't necessarily even need the best. Same with the diet. Okay, this week I'm going to do keto diet. 1 week goes by, I didn't see results. All right, now I'm going to do the Atkins diet. That didn't work. All right, now I'm paleo. That didn't work. Now I'm vegan. Low fat diet. Now I'm low carb diet. But rather than looking for your results, and this goes back to being committed to the process, even if you said, again, I don't need to have the very best thing, what I do need to do is do my research to the best of my ability, and then pick one, and then say, no matter what, I'm going to be consistent with this one thing, rather than jump back and forth and try all this different stuff. So you really need to focus on your, again, do the initial research and stuff that we're going to be doing. But you need to focus on continuity rather than stopping and starting. Super important. All right, I want you to enter vacation mode, okay? And no, that does not mean you get to go on vacation just yet. What I mean when I say this is I'm talking about the day before vacation. Guys, let me know if you can relate to this one, okay? Think about how efficient you are and how much stuff you get done and what you accomplish the day before you have to leave for vacation. It's probably a lot of stuff. Often this comes down to proper planning, using a to-do list, and prioritizing the most important tasks. You want to plan tomorrow today. Efficient, effective planning, or earlier. You should never ever wake up and ask me how I know this, because I've been there, and wonder, what should I do today? You need to know that at a minimum from the day before, and ideally you have a routine that your weeks more or less look pretty much the same. So this is a system called Getting Things Done. This is by David Allen, and I highly, highly recommend this book and this system. So this is kind of the basic outline. You guys can see there's a little infographic here, but it's highly recommended and highly effective. So what it is step one is that you're going to capture everything on paper. Now, the way I use it, I actually use the software I'm going to show you guys in a second. But at least the way he teaches it, he uses like physical paper and sheets of paper and puts it into a physical inbox. But the idea is to get out of your head, because for one thing, our memory is actually very, very poor. Like I said, if you watch a training like this and you don't take notes, you're going to forget about 80% of what you learn within 30 minutes. So the idea is to get everything onto paper so you can organize it better, so you don't skip things. But also, keeping stuff up here takes up mental bandwidth, right? You want that stuff freed up so you can, actually use it and be more productive and even be more creative and stuff like that. Then step number 2 is that you want to clarify. So all these things that you think of, you want to turn them into action steps. So process what you've captured and turn them into actionable items. That means, what is the next step? Now, if a given task something that you wrote down has multiple action steps, that's what you call a project. You file it as a project. I'll show you how to do it in a second. And then you look at the first actionable step. Okay? Or you file it as reference material. Then you want to organize, sort your tasks, add it to your calendar, prioritize and or delegate. And then you review. You want to look over this and revise these lists on a daily and weekly basis. So infographic here: collect, process, organize, plan, do. Your item of stuff in your inbox, is it actionable? No. Trash it, create it as reference material or like a someday box. Moving on down, single step to complete. No. Then you plan a project and then you break that down into its actionable items. If it's a single step, you go down, yes. More than 2 minutes, no, just do it. And then if it's a yes, you decide if it's for you, and then you set a specific day or time. If it's for someone else, something like that, you delegate it, push it off. All right, so you guys can review that. It's a good, helpful graphic that you might want to look at. And then I want to show you how I do this. And then this is my time management recommendation. As of now, again, if there is something else, I will swap this out in the video. But as of now, I'm very, very happy with this because this is a program that is based on the Getting Things Done framework with included training and support. So that infographic I just showed you about, an inbox where you just throw everything into, and then you break it down into projects. You can put different categories on it and break it into action steps. Really, really good system. I highly recommend it. There's a free version and a paid version that have different components to it. But it's got inboxes, projects. You can do teamwork stuff, calendar categories. I like it because it has a standalone desktop app. It's cloud-based, so if you're on any random computer, you can access it. It's an iPhone app, Android app. So that's really cool. And then it interfaces automatically, very easily with tons of software and services, including like Gmail, your calendar, Pomodoro app, which is a Pomodoro timer I have. I'll show you guys that in a bit. Evernote and a lot of different things. There are other alternatives. Some good ones are Trello, To-Do List, Wunderlist with a W-U, Wunderlist. I've included some links to some of those things under the description, so you guys can click and check if you want to use other things. Other than Noseby, Trello would probably be my second favorite. It's very visual friendly, so you can just kind of drag and drop your tasks and move them. You can see everything visually, and then you can drag and drop and kind of move those things around, but Noseby is kind of my go-to. Also, here are the QR codes if you want to pull out your phone and snap a pic, or if you want to screenshot that and give you a second to do that. All right. So next, there's this concept called Eat That Frog, which is also a book by Brian Tracy. And the idea behind this is to do your hardest task first. I don't know why he chose this specific analogy, but he says if you had to eat a frog in the morning, it'd probably be the worst thing you do all day, so you might as well kind of get it out of the way and the rest of your day gets easier, but do it early. And so call reluctance is a great example. Nobody wants to do it, but that'd be a really good thing to do first. Some people, and I used to do this, they do the easiest tasks first in hopes of gaining momentum. Like, okay, I did like 10 things, now I feel productive, or now I'm ready to do the hard thing. I've found this to be less effective. In some cases, that's what busy work is, and then you can actually have the opposite effect where you feel a sense of accomplishment because you've done a lot of stuff, but it's not productive stuff that yields results. And it's also, typically the things you don't want to do, the harder things, those are the things that yield results. Next, do not multitask. Great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. I have this discussion with Jade sometimes where she's trying to watch a video and do her homework at the same time. And And I'm like, Jay, you cannot do more than one thing. Stop doing that, okay? Just take my word for it. They've done studies where people trying to multitask is the same, and their effectiveness is basically the same as operating drunk, right? So texting is illegal in so many places now, but do not multitask. Focus on one thing. We talked about this earlier when I talked about Cal Newport's book, Deep Work. I have that there. Scientific research has shown that simple multitasking can decrease the brain's ability to function similarly to being legally drunk. Okay? Limit distractions. You can use technology. Like this is a really cool site called unroll.me. You use that, basically it goes into your inbox and your Gmail. It'll find everything that has the unsubscribe link, and it'll show you, hey, do you want to see these emails like and rolled up, once a week or whatever? Can I delete you? Should I unsubscribe you? Don't unsubscribe from my stuff. I got good stuff to send you. But just ways to proactively limit distractions. Same way I talked about, like if you were dieting and you just don't have junk food in the house, much easier to stick with it. That's another way to do that. All right. Deep work we talked about a little bit earlier, like really chunking your tasks and laser focus and doing it all at the same time. Because every time it's like you take a break from something, even if you just get up to use the bathroom or just get up to get a snack, or someone asks you to do a favor, hey, can you do this? It'll only take you 2 minutes. A lot of times if you're in a flow state, and I think we all know what a flow state is, where you're just getting stuff done, if you take a 2-minute break, it can take you as much as 20 minutes to get back into that flow state, right? So you want to try and lay out times and pockets where you can work for extended periods of time on your most important tasks. So chunk your tasks, work uninterrupted, and remove distractions. That means your phone is off, your email is closed. You can use things like website blockers. Again, more technology to kind of make this stuff inevitable for you. Schedule blocks of times with scheduled breaks. That works well. It's called the Pomodoro technique. I use something called Pomodoro app. It integrates with Noseby, so all the stuff on my to-do list goes into that system. Then I'll click, all right, I'm working on this task. The timer goes off. I work on it nonstop for 25 minutes. Bring the timer, and that tells me like when this thing is ticking, and you can set, I like to keep the ticks on, so it's tick, tick, tick. Okay, I'm just in the flow. I'm doing this. I'm working this. At the end of 25 minutes, I take a pre-planned 5-minute break, 25 more minutes. Do that about 4 times. So that's called the Pomodoro's recommended to do it 4 times. And then after doing 4 Pomodoros, you can take a longer break, 15-minute break, 20-minute break. Works very, very well. That app is just a little fancy, but you can use like a little egg timer if you want to, or your phone. Right, that works too. I just like it because it integrates with Noseby. It's pretty cool. Again, 2-hour blocks are recommended, but you got to find out what works best for you. Use a dedicated workspace and use your environment, music, and other cues to get you in the zone and trigger work mode. We'll talk about anchors a little bit later, but sometimes, if you get really good work done in a certain place, a certain room, while listening to a certain music, keep doing that because it's going to signal to your brain that this is you in productivity mode and more or less make you more productive. A really good tip is binaural beats. I love working to these. A lot of people say that you can use this even for like ADHD. They're basically mimic the frequency of your brain waves. And so if you're going to sleep, for example, you'd use theta waves and just listen to it, and it's a sound like just that frequency. Like it's either monotone or I don't know what the word is. Just look them up. But for high levels of productivity, you want to listen to beta binaural beats or even gamma, which are high frequency, the highest frequency. Like if you were looking at a wave, those are the ones that are like this. It really, really helps me to focus, and pretty much everyone I've recommended it to has said the same. Check your email and your phone. I recommend using your phone like a beeper only at pre-specified times. The exceptions are for incoming leads. You can use a different phone, a web app, or a ringtone, inbox, or in your alert system. So those, if they're coming in, I recommend like dropping everything to like take the call. Especially if you're, you don't have assistants or VAs or anything like that. But other things, like we talked about morning, the miracle morning, your morning routine, that is your time and your time only. No phones, no computers. Don't open that. And then you want to, you can't check email as they come in, right? You have to value your time more than somebody else's and make the most of it. I promise you, nobody knows how to spend your time better than you, or at least like their self-interest is not in maximizing your time, right? When they send you an email or something like that. And it also manages expectations. Like, people know if you call me, I'm not necessarily going to drop everything I'm doing and pick up. I don't do that. It would cost me my life. It would cost me my business. It would cost me time doing things that are important to me. Now, I will get back to you in a timely manner, in a timely fashion. Like my students, I know if I see a call, it's going to be time sensitive, so things like that, I'm aware of that. Email, no one's going to send me an emergency email, and, there's specific times in the day that I set aside to check that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Social media is a killer of time. Be a producer of social media. That's cool. Don't be a consumer. You need to say anything more about that. And then make it inevitable. Remove distractions before they become an issue. So you don't have to look at the thing itself, the distraction. You can usually remove it. I always say, I had another mentor that said, anytime you run into a problem, an obstacle, it's rarely at the moment where it becomes a problem. It's really at the moment of the obstacle it's a problem. He said, you should look 5 steps back, and there's something there that you could have handled, and it would have handled it in a much easier way and much more efficiently before it blew up into this big problem. And so, same way like we talked about the junk food, not even bring it to the house, makes you not have to use willpower. Same thing here. Remove any type of distractions before they become an issue. And you can do stuff like, use website blockers to like block Facebook, for example, so you're not tempted to go on there. Okay, next is your schedule, right? So I want to talk to you about the reverse schedule. Now, we're often told to manage our time, but managing your energy can be far more effective. Managing your energy lets you fully engage with whatever you're doing. That's a quote from The Power of Full Engagement. It's an amazing book I highly recommend. Now, I used to get into these times where I would say things like, you know what? I have so much work to do, I can't go to the gym. And that was a story that I was telling myself. But funny enough, even though I did have a lot of stuff to do and I thought I didn't have time for the gym, I stopped going to the gym for times. I was never more productive. I wasn't getting more stuff done. I mean, think about it. Even presidents of nations, they make time for the gym, for their workouts and stuff like that. And so, I want to introduce you the reverse schedule. It's going to help you prevent burnout and rely less on willpower to kind of muscle through. So the reverse schedule is an excellent reverse psychology trick, in the sense that, like, you're going to start off by scheduling your non-negotiables. So this is going to be things like, okay, work you have to go to. You're going to put on your schedule. But your leisure time, your pleasure time, your hobbies, your time with your kids, your time with your family, dinner time, you're going to schedule that stuff first, right? I'm not saying do it first, but schedule it first. And then it has a couple benefits. So here's the first one. Again, it's a reverse psychology trick. When a leisure activity gets canceled, you're going to be relieved. Like, oh, now I have time to finish that project, right? It works in reverse. You need the extra stimulation, socialization, relaxation, exercise for high quality output. No one can live in a bubble and come up with, say, creative solutions. Additionally, exercising gives you more energy. So, again, the concept here is we want to maximize our time, but time alone is not necessarily more productive. Okay, we want to manage our energy so that way we put ourselves in a place where we can create in 1 hour the same output the average person can create in 5 hours or something like that. So make your schedule and lifestyle sustainable for the long term. Now, because the time when you can work, when you do your schedule this way, becomes limited, right? Because once you fill in your other stuff, there's only certain times where you actually can work. You will automatically have a tendency to make the most out of that time and focus on your highest priority tasks. You're going to eliminate distractions, and when you actually work, that means you're not bullshitting and you're really, really working. You also achieve genuine and lasting motivation through abundant rewards. Reverse scheduling makes your scheduling realistic and it helps you to prioritize. So when I decide if I'm going to take a new student in for mentoring, I have them fill out an application. And one of the questions is, how much time do you have available? Because I want to know, one, are they actually going to commit to this business? Because I don't want to, waste your time or waste my time if I feel like you're not really going to be serious about the business, right? So that's that's kind of a part of this, right? But a lot of times, a lot of people, and I'm sure they mean well, but I say, like, how much time are you going to put into this? They say, as much time as it takes. And I'm not, like, necessarily doubting that, but it's like, when you have something so unspecific, how can you craft a good strategy around it, right? When you know that, hey, man, I only have 10 hours a week, well, then now I can give you a plan to put into that. And when you know realistically that you don't have 40 hours to spend a week, well, then it just makes you more realistic and able to schedule a little bit better. Inside your action plan, you're going to see this. We're going to go through some more detail in a little bit, so you don't have to worry about this right now, but I just want to introduce you to it. Make a schedule. Again, fill in non-refundable things. Non-negotiable things first. 9-to-5 job, picking up kids from school, hobbies, the gym, and add your personal time, right? Date night, dinner with the kids, all that stuff. Do that first. Add it first. Sorry, not do it first, but add it first. So you'll see it like in this sample. It will say like, okay, my morning routine I fill out first, then my MMA training, right? And then after I do that, if this were like, this is an example, but like, if I were picking up Jade from school, like that goes in there, stuff like that. And then after that, you see where the holes are, where you really have real free time. And then you'll go in and you'll see some of these blocks are not specific. It just says wholesaling at wholesaling time, right? So if you look at the 8 a.m. block, okay, make offers. All right, now I know exactly what I'm doing, first thing I'm doing, right? But then where it says wholesaling, you'll look on the right, and then each day that wholesaling block can change, right? And I'm going to show you guys how to do that in a little bit more detail. I think day 3 we're going to go through that specifically, but the idea is just showing you this so you know that how to kind of build up that reverse schedule. I've tried a lot of different things. I've been in programs, seminars, all kind of crazy shit on procrastination and being more productive, and this is what I found, or the culmination of what I found to be most effective. Again, note that we schedule these things first, not necessarily do them first. Build a routine that you can stick to and replicate to the best of your ability every week. All right, now we'll just talk very, very quickly about procrastination. This is something that I could talk about forever, something I had a lot of experience with, and it sucks. It's a killer. You may even want to do some independent research, but I'm going to try and give you some highlights really quickly. So first of all, people that procrastinate are rarely, even though there's a stigma associated with it, it's very rarely due to laziness. A lot of time it is a symptom of fear. It's the fear of failure, the fear of being imperfect, having that perfectionism, the fear of being overwhelmed, the fear of success, advancement over your friends, and maybe they won't want to be your friend anymore. The fear of increased demands as a result of your good work. I've had this. I was like, dude, I don't ever want to manage people. It's too much extra effort. And so to overcome these fears, you need to accept yourself first as imperfect and human. That's okay. We're human beings. We make mistakes. It's what we do, man. It's all good. Your self-worth not defined by your output. It's okay to make mistakes. Stop criticizing yourself. And, funny enough, it's going to make you actually more productive and, push more output. Procrastination equals self-protection and can also give us excuses for mediocre productivity. Like, okay, well, I had to do it at the last minute. If I didn't, I could have done a better job. It's just kind of bullshit, right? The more you procrastinate, the more anxious you are, and the more you criticize yourself. And, the more you do that, the more you lose confidence. With lost confidence, you have an even greater need to procrastinate because you're afraid that others will judge you unfavorably, and, you poor self-image, and it's just a cyclical thing that keeps happening. So here are some kind of solutions. First, you really need to monitor your self-talk. We talked about this, but we talked about this before. The have-tos, right, are messages of stress. Shoulds are messages of depression. Both of these things are framed in the negative. These are very, very simple things, but they're really probably more important than you realize. Your words, the power of your words. I tell you, like even from the time Jade was young, in my household, you guys see, like I say what I say, right? I have some profanity issues sometimes. But no, curse words. I think they sometimes get you hyped up. Sometimes they make you pay attention. They fire off different parts of your brain. You know, whatever it is. I don't really think it's a big deal, right? So a form of expression, and usually it conveys a lot of emotion. However, in my house and in my household, I use the word can't. I consider that a curse word. So especially when Jade was very young, if she said I can't do something, she would get in trouble. It was that serious, and I would be more upset if she said that than if she said a bad word, because I know it's just that powerful, especially with kids. But either way, so when you say I have to do something, it's a message of stress. When you say I should do something, it's a message of depression. Some examples. You want to replace the negative messages with positive ones. And again, this all goes back, you guys can tell the theme of the last few lessons, everything happening on a subconscious level. So you want to give yourself the power of choices. Very empowering. And learn to say no. You do not have to do anything. You want to replace I have to do XYZ with I choose to do XYZ. See the difference? Very subtle, a lot more empowering. Replace I must finish with when can I start and where should I start. Replace this is so big with I can take one small step. Replace I must be perfect with I can be human. And that's even, obviously a thought process there. Replace I don't have time to play with I must make time to play. The statement of a producer with a powerful focus is I choose to start on one small imperfect step, knowing that I have plenty of time for play. Very, very, powerful statement. They're very important. Change your life. If the project seems insurmountable, start breaking it down into its smallest parts and just take the very first step. If you don't feel like doing something, that's often the thing you should be doing. Remember to tackle the toughest problems first, not the easiest. So again, time management. I touched on this in the last module, but I'm going to give you another sample. Just that ideal day again. We start off with our morning routine, right? Everyone should be in and signed off on that. Make your offers first thing in the morning, so you would have ideal day, no interruptions. I get up, do my morning routine, bam, jump right into the offers, written offers. Then you want to follow up on the previous day's offers, answer your emails, texts, and voice messages, work on issues with maybe upcoming closings and deals in progress, work on prospecting campaigns, so that'll be checking your metrics, KPIs, sending letters, callback inquiries, doing more follow-up, things like that. And then you want to create your to-do list for the following day. Again, very simplified version, but a very good sample that covers, you don't need to do tons of things in a day. Like, it's simple. It's literally that simple. Couple bullet points, okay? Don't stop thinking more is better when less can be more. So some closing thoughts on time management. Eric Thomas, you guys might know this guy, the hip-hop preacher, says, every one day you don't do what you should be doing, you are pushing your dreams back another 6 months. Play the movie forward. Think about it. Visualize it. Do it during your morning routine. Where will you be 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years if you don't do this? Learn to say no. Say no to other people's requests and do not feel the need to give a reason. Because here's the secret. If you give a reason, you tell people how to overcome that reason. You say, oh, can you do this and this for me? No, I can't because, I have to watch Jay. That tells the other person, well, if I could get a babysitter for him, maybe he could come. You say, no, I can't. And they're nice, respectful, good ways to say that, but just a simple no, don't feel compelled to give a reason. Very important, okay? Later, we're going to focus on things like automation, how to delegate, and buy time, system, software, VAs, etc. So we will get to that again, giving you the bigger picture stuff today. Time management. Here are some recommended reads. Most of these are available as audiobooks. Highly recommended. So Getting Things Done by David Allen. That was a system. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. The Power of Full Engagement. Jim Lohr and Tony Schwartz. The One Thing by Gary Keller. No BS Time Management for Entrepreneurs. Dan Kennedy. I would love to get to that dude's level. Or maybe I wouldn't. I'm not really sure. He's very, very extreme. So take what works for you. Maybe you want to ignore some of it. But like his message is gold. This dude doesn't have email or have a cell phone, and he only accepts communication by fax. That's not me. So I don't think I can take it that far, but still a good read. Tools of Titans, Tim Ferriss is not just related to time management. There's a lot of different business hacks, life hacks in there. It's good stuff. The Now Habit, a strategic program for overcoming procrastination and enjoying guilt-free play by Neil Fiore. And I will have, let me go back there. Oh, and there are links to all of those books in description below this module, okay? So that was our overview on time management.